go about decisions that impact our community. Thank you for gracious blessings on this community. First responders, please be with us as we go forward. May all the decisions we make pleasing to you. Your son's name we pray.
And if you'll stay standing for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll roll right into it. If Stormwater Engineer Robert Bush come up for the Deeks Drive update.
Got a few visuals, nothing outstanding, but,
Slide
I used
around.
to go to the theater side, yeah.
pardon?
Want to see the simple side.
They're gonna be simple, I don't know.
Okay.
But are they gonna hit the mayor on the head?
They might.
They're gonna have to scoot over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Eric.
Rita's got a more elaborate one that y'all certainly wanna.
It will fly.
I'm not getting behind the knee, I'm gonna
So to get started, Mayor and Council, the project is certainly underway. We are in good shape in regard to having the contractor on the ground, moving forward, and making a productive effort every day. There's been some impediments in the process. First, I guess, to explain right on the front end, we've got a fairly compressed time frame on the project, 75 days. So that is a difficult thing to begin with. And it makes everything that we bump into that would be just a normal, oh, that's okay, reorder that or do that over again. It makes those things, that much more critical for us. Getting materials here timely has been a challenge. Our precast supplier has been, I won't say they're slow, but they're busy, and everybody across town is seeing the same delays that we saw in this project. But those castings are starting to flow and get to the project, and so that impediment is certainly going to be behind us. Certainly rain has been a consideration. It's been a factor for our work days. Certainly today, nothing happened on the project, but it's one of those things. As soon as it dries out, we'll be back at it. The contractor remains behind, but again, he's making good headway now, and he's in a position to catch up a bit here in the next few weeks. We'll probably recommend that he move to, he's doing 4 10-hour days right now, and we'll probably recommend that he switch to 5 very shortly so he can take advantage of an additional work day. Much of the work to date has been sanitary sewer work. Michael's portion of the project, they've got some 12-inch sewer that's been placed, 3 manholes that have been placed, and they've done some saw cutting of some pavement in the area. They're essentially down on if you look at the right side of the drawing, at that intersection there with Helmwood. They've made a sanitary sewer connection and turned the corner, and they're making a crossing right now of the creek, and that's kind of their status. We had a head wall that came in, made improperly, and they were going to take off on the storm end of the week last week and first of this week. So that's kind of stymied their plan to take off on the storm sewer this week. So that head wall has to be cast in place because of the complexity of it. So we'll stay after them to get that done. But that's kind of The project in a nutshell, like I said, we're at the creek pretty much with a sanitary sewer crossing. There's some stainless steel strapping that needs to go on the sanitary sewer there. So, and then once we get out of that little area, we'll break more into the street. You can see the alignment into the street, and you'll see, much more progress once we get off those areas where we have to clear and do additional work. But that said, any questions in regard to the project? right now?
Robert, I have two.
Go
One
ahead.
is, when you say the contractor is already behind,
Yes.
is that the contractor is already behind in even getting to our project, or the contractor is behind currently working on this project?
He's working on the project. He's been behind from the beginning because of the delivery issues I mentioned on the precast stuff. So it probably took him a week to 10 days extra to even mobilize to the project because of those delivery issues. But
Okay.
again, he is here and making progress now.
In our contract with this contractor,
Yes, sir.
is that allowable delay? Obviously, there's some rain days built in there. But
Yes.
is that, and what incentive, when you say we're going to encourage them to go to a 5-day work week,
Right.
what incentive is there for them to do that if they're?
Well, there would be an interest in completing the contract more timely. That is the interest that they would have. Liquidated damages will start to kick in, though that probably won't keep the contractor up at night if, he's paying liquidated damages. It's a token amount to, not an amount that would make you cringe. It's like, $150 a day or something like that.
Why
So-
would we put something like that in there then if it wouldn't, with no teeth in it? I mean, I would think that the whole purpose of trying to make sure that our contractors are getting our projects completed in an appropriate amount of time is to incentivize them or penalize them.
Right.
And $150 a day, I don't see that. I'm trying to figure out how they got there, but that may be something we need to look at.
Well, it's probably something we do need to look at, particularly in something that's urgent like this.
This is urgent. We got a street shut down.
I understand. I
Yeah.
understand. That's what I stated. It is urgent. It's one of those things that it should be a consideration anytime we move forward with a project like this. Most of the time, you don't want to penalize a contractor for that kind of delay. Most of the time, you want to work with a contractor to meet the ebb and flow of the projects. That's kind of the general rule of thumb. But, in this case, like I said, we'll move to liquidated damages. Contractors hate to pay liquidated damages because it has impact into their insurance, their bonding.
Right.
And so there's a big negative there if they get it in that level. So it's just not the money, it's the impact to their bonding.
Second question is, as we review to make sure that our order on our precast that we need is correct, so that we don't get halfway down here and then all of a sudden discover we got the wrong size in, and we've got to back up and wait on them if they're still busy, and so that's going to add another delay.
We approved shop drawings, yes, Marty,
Okay.
on the front end. This head wall came in spite of our rejection of the shop drawings. It came in built without the proper velocity check blocks that should be in there. I think the precaster expected to be able to retrofit those blocks, but I'm not certain. They haven't proved to me that they can make that retrofit and make it stay.
And we've addressed that up front, tell them, if that's your feeling, we need to tell them now, because we're going to be wasting more time
Right.
trying to get that produced.
We've communicated that back to
Okay.
them, and we're expecting
Okay.
them to move forward. Anything else, gentlemen?
Robert, are you still using the private drive back there for the assisted living as a
I think
detour?
the public's using every means that they can to negotiate through that. Yes, I think the answer is yes. It's hit and miss. It depends on which part of the project. As we move up through the project, obviously that will change. But so far, so good as far as maintaining access to the businesses. I haven't heard any real complaints. People say, hey, I wish I could get into my business today, but we accommodate that. It's usually any interruptions are short term, and the contractors work to alleviate that. So, Anything else?
Good.
Okay, good deal.
Ready, you guys, some slides too?
I just have a PDF, but I also have a hard copy if you'd rather do the hard copy.
Rita, let me distribute.
Do both. That's all. Just providing an update on the Buffalo Lake. We're doing some assessment out there to determine what we need to do to maintain this thing. So we retained Stantec to do an assessment of historical information, analysis of current conditions, and that included, they took some bathymetric data to get the bottom of the lake mapped out, and also some sediment sampling to see if we've got any issues with the what's in the sediment, and then underwater inspection of our gates and riser structure. And so they were able to leverage some previous inspection work that they've done for us. And with this information, they helped us identify some improvement opportunities and assess whether the industry standard practices are met, and they provided us a recommendation memo. And so some of the items we're going to work on this fiscal year based on that memo. So one of the things was to clear the trash rack. We have this continuous maintenance issue with debris getting built up on the riser structure. And so they recommended that we incorporate a debris check to help alleviate this constant maintenance issue. We are going to rehabilitate and replace the drawdown gate. The gate is currently buried under 5 feet of sediment. This is a safety issue since we can't really lower the pool in the event of an emergency. So we want to make sure that that is repaired to get that up to industry standards. We're going to look into our embankment internal drainage. That includes our tow drains. We're going to do some CCTV in there. We're currently working on getting quotes for this work to kind of see what condition those tow drains are in. We're going to do the removal of some trees and brush that are a little bit too close to our embankment, could cause some issues. And as far as the sedimentation, they found that especially in this area in the upper reaches, it's very shallow. They could not even get a boat up there. So they're recommending partial removal of some sediment. And the sediment sampling indicated that we don't have any issues as far as we can take that to just a standard landfill. We don't have any hazardous waste issues there, so that was good news. And then something kind of more long-term, or if we can do it in the course of this project, we'd like to work on some public access, increased fishing access, maybe a gravel access ramp to launch some canoes or kayaks in there, walking trail with the educational islands highlighting natural processes and that kind of thing. So that's kind of where we would like to go with this as well. So this figure is just kind of the culmination of everything that Stantec recommended. So it's hard to see on the projector there, but hopefully you can see it better in the paper. Any questions? All right, well, thank you.
Thanks, Rita. Okay, just say that it's So next we have Casey Bowles from Commonwealth Economics, and we want to, I know you had a vision to talk to us about the tax increment refinery. Happy to invite over to CC.
Oh, sorry.
Let's go use, you know.
Sure. I'll speak up. No,
I can.
I'll be all right. I'll speak up.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you all for having us today. My name is Casey Bolton. I'm with Commonwealth Economics. We're a fiscal advisory firm based out of Lexington. We work on a lot of different types of economic analysis and really project finance around the state. But I would say at least half of our projects are taxation and financing related. We've worked on taxing and financing projects all over the state, communities large and small. We really see that as a critical component to a lot of different projects and qualifications in order to add a pretty critical layer into project finance and really used to help pay for public infrastructure. Like I said, we've worked in a lot of different cities on a lot of different projects. Some of our larger projects have been the rubber reimagination of the Lexington Convention Center. We've worked with the city of Louisville on a number of projects, most recently their soccer stadium that they're building for the minor league team. We've worked on a lot of the University of Kentucky's initiatives from their football stadium, some of their dorm and student center rebuilds and new builds on campus. We worked with the University of Cincinnati in their basketball arena renovations, with their arena, and we've worked in Owensboro and did financing for a couple of different projects, including their Bluegrass Music Museum. So wanted to kind of highlight some of the projects that we worked on, particularly TIF projects in communities that are more your size. We have worked on 2 projects in Owensboro. We're working on one in Ashland that's getting ready to open in the next couple of months. They needed a new hotel in their downtown district. Overhead is undertaking a similar initiative. Paducah is undertaking a similar initiative in their downtown. We're in a project in Mayfield at their Mid-Continent University, which closed a few years ago. They're trying to reimagine it to attract some tech jobs. Mount Vernon and Northern Kentucky University in Highland Heights. So a lot of people think that TIF is only used in Lexington and Louisville, but I would just say that's where it kind of started. And that's where some of the larger projects are. A lot of communities around the state are utilizing the TIF program to fund certain projects. The legislation was really codified in 2007. There were some pilot projects ahead of them. There are a couple of things of note. The district can be created at the local level, and then that may allow it to participate at the state level, meaning you can get some state tax participation as well. And that was the big change in 2007 that really made it a lot more impactful for certain communities. The idea behind TIF is that you identify an area that has a need for redevelopment or a need for public infrastructure, really to support the private development that we're going in and around that area. It's a way to take areas that maybe have been underproductive in terms of job creation, really tax revenues, and reimagine them and use the incremental tax revenues that the project generates, meaning tax revenues over and above what that area was generating previously, to help finance some of those public infrastructure improvements that are necessary for the redevelopment to occur in the first place. So it's kind of a self-policing incentive that allows the private development community, the public sector to kind of meet and fill these projects. Couple things that are important to most people. It does not change how businesses are taxed. If you operate in that an identified area currently, your taxes are going to go up. You're not going to see any new taxes on your bill as part of the TIF program. There aren't any tax exemptions created, all tax revenues and flow of funds will flow as normal if you're a business owner, you really wouldn't know it, one way or the other. It also doesn't restrict any of the property, it doesn't affect planning and zoning in any way, other than you still have to follow all of those rules. It's really just a way to capture that interest in tax revenues and filing that in the project, so that the project can happen in the first place. I can give you a few examples of where that's happened, but one kind of walk through what it's really used for. It can be used for one or more projects in what we call the development area, which is really just that boundary to identify where those taxes are generated. And it's almost always used to pay for public infrastructure expenditures. That's a pretty broad definition at the state level, but I think roadways, utility connections, sanitary, stormwater connections and treatment, public areas, public buildings, parking garages are a common theme in some of the bigger cities, more dense areas. So that's really the purpose of those incremental revenues, is to fund those projects that otherwise the private developer may look to the community to do, like better roadways, better sidewalks, parking areas, public utilities. At the local level, you all can pledge really all of your incremental real estate taxes and all of your occupation taxes to this initiative. What cannot be pledged are school districts or special districts, particularly fire districts. Any district that is not governed by, say, the city, would have to act on their own to participate in it. So if you have like a library district that oversees its own rate, they would have to sign to participate there in taxes as well. You can pledge them up to 30 years. I'll show you some of the state programs as well. Most of them are 20 years. Most projects that utilize the state program are 20 years, so oftentimes the local pledge will match that. It's a great way to plow those taxes back into the project to support some of those infrastructure improvements. A lot of the benefit, or depending on the project, you can see a lot of benefit applying for the state program as well, so that you're not only plowing those incremental local dollars back to support the project, you're getting some help from the state too. And in times when it's pretty difficult for the state to help out with any kind of capital projects at all, it's a pretty good tool to try to utilize to get some of those state incremental occupational tax revenues and sales tax revenues back into your community. There are a few different state programs. It kind of depends on the size and timing of the project. I would say the most simple program is a way that allows the state to rebate their property tax only. You have to spend $10 million on the project, and there's some other restrictions as well. The mixed use program is the most commonly used program. It allows you to recover state incremental income taxes, state sales and use taxes, and state property taxes as well. So that's obviously a great way to get some money back into your community, depending on what you build out. If you're going to be generating sales tax for restaurants or hotels, those dollars can really add up pretty quickly. The signature project program, you have to spend $200 million. That's a pretty big undertaking. It's really used for arenas or major convention center projects. There aren't really many of those in the state. But the mixed use program has been used pretty heavily by a lot of communities of your size. It has a minimum capital investment of $20 million. So if you get a hotel project and a couple of redevelopment projects, you can get that pretty quickly. They cannot, state taxes cannot be pledged more than one incentive program. So if you have, a large office user that wants to go in somewhere and they're looking for KBI incentives, which is another way to rebate state income, withholding taxes. You can't rebate it through the TIF from the state and give them back to the tenant. So it's kind of pick or choose what the best fit is for your needs. There aren't many times those conflicts occur because typically the project, it's going to be an office project, there's a thought process that goes on before you go down that road and kind of hamstring yourself. But it's important to understand that as you get into the project, what your options are. So, as we look at projects and what the right fit is for a community, it's important to understand what your wants and needs are. Are you trying to redevelop a downtown? Are you trying to attract a hotel to your downtown area or some other area in town? You really want to understand what you qualify for, what the tax revenues that you generate might be over the 20-year period, based on an estimated build-out schedule of certain components. So really where we usually start our work is to perform a feasibility analysis where we'll meet community stakeholders, potential developers in the area that might have an interest in redeveloping certain parcels or bringing certain operations to town, and really get a better understanding of what we're talking about in terms of tax generation that might be available for recovery and really needs of the project. What infrastructure really is needed for these projects. The demo that needs to happen, or do they really need subsidized parking? Are there utility issues in the area that are impacting capacity that may be restricting private developers from really wanting to go into that area and take on some of those unknown costs on their own? That's really where we start is with the feasibility analysis, and you have a good blueprint for is this something that works for our community and the needs that we have. Is this a good way to attract investment into our downtown? We then roll that into an external document, and that really becomes your blueprint for developing the district at the local level, and it supports your application to the state if that is your intended path. It'll lay out all the tax revenues, the intended scope of the project, the estimated time frame, job creation, wages, all the above, and it would be an attachment to the TIP development plan, which is the first step at the local level. Really to get public feedback and file it, see what the public has to say about it, whether they think it's a worthwhile initiative to undertake. If it doesn't get great feedback, or the public doesn't think it's a good idea, you can kind of build a project at that point and go back to the drawing board. But it really is just a great and statutorily required tool to get public input on certain undertakings. It's then codified in an ordinance and a local participation agreement, which is really just a legal documents that spell out exactly who's participating, what, and what's expected of everybody that's involved in the deal. And then you're able to apply to the state and ask for their help as well. Again, it seems like a lot. I actually condensed a lot of this, believe it or not. But it is, we've had success in a lot of communities, including those of your size, and getting projects there, and getting developers interested. If they think they can get some help with some of those infrastructure costs, otherwise they probably wouldn't come to the community to buy. I think that's it. I've got an appendix back here that gets into all the most of the details that you're welcome to look at any point. I'm not trying to bore you with those, and maybe take questions or thoughts if there's any more through fairly quickly.
First of all, are you able to send us a copy of your presentation?
Yes, city manager has a copy.
Like that.
Yeah, you're welcome to distribute them.
Can you give me an example of what some of the typical payouts would be with the money that we receive back from the program? I mean, tell me some, besides plowing it back into more infrastructure, which I know we could do that. Kind of give me an example of how you would use, or would you use any of the proceeds? How does it find its way back to a developer, or does it in real cash?
Sure, that's a great question. So it's really just a tool to kind of earmark those increased tax revenues if they come. That's one of the beauties of it. If the developer doesn't pull up their end of the bargain and bring the business that generates the tax revenue, there's no tax revenue to get back to them. So
No, but at that point, we've already spent our money on infrastructure.
So that's the beauty of it. So your real question is how do you leverage enough funds? Well, you could just tell the developer, if you create it, we'll give you up to, X amount of dollars as a rebate for your utility costs, if you show us proof that you've spent money on these utility needs. Or, if you go out a sewer line, we'll give you whatever you generate up to a certain amount to rebate you for what you spent to make this project happen.
But those funds that developer spends on those infrastructure, that counts as a retirement, correct?
For the spend threshold, so that spend threshold, includes any activity that goes on in the district. So if the private developer spends money, if the state came in and spent money, if you all spent money on projects within the district.
So it's cumulative with everybody.
It's cumulative, so it's really easy to get to that 20 million if you have a couple of big projects. If you have a decent sized hotel, those typically are $12 million. So when you get there pretty quickly, you can throw some other redevelopment in there and the infrastructure that goes with it. Communities are often surprised how quickly it adds up. It seems like a big hurdle until you kind of start laying out the plan and seeing how much it really costs. But in terms of, how that's delivered up front, you can pass the risk on to the developer and say, if you build it and generate the tax dollars, we'll rebate you, and you take the risk, the developer on the front end, and you say you're gonna bring a hotel here. We don't want to build a bunch of utilities and tear down a bunch of buildings for you to build a hotel if you never built a hotel. But I'll tell you what, if you take that risk, we'll give you the rebate if it's generated. That's a good way to pass that risk on to the developer. Kind of the point that was made earlier, properly incentivize them to kind of hold there to the bargain. And also kind of protects you all from a debt standpoint. You aren't using your bond capacity to work on projects. Some communities have taken that risk on themselves. It just kind of depends on the project and the community and who's initiating it. And you can not leave anywhere in the middle. You can allocate it to different developers within the same district. There's one developer that needs money for demo and environmental remediation. You can allocate those future revenues accordingly. It's all set up on the front end so that everybody knows what to expect. We know we have 50% of the increment we generate as rebate for certain expenses. Line them all up like that, and we can hopefully put a plan together for this project.
But we could make this deal with this developer, another deal with a different developer, based on the needs of their particular project.
That's exactly right. Yeah, so, if you have one part of town owned by one developer and a few buildings next to it, and they say, well, we want some money for our project and we need some money for our project, we have a lot of serious environmental remediation. It's going to cost a lot of money to demo this property. We need structured parking below our hotel, and we're keep the density that we want in our downtown and provide the hotel what they need to operate. And we've seen it done a lot of different ways, and it just kind of depends on the needs of the community and the needs of the developer. And try to find in the middle.
Where is the oversight on the program? Does the state provide an auditor? Is it?
There are a couple of different mandatory audits that have to occur. Assuming you get state participation, you can build whatever you want, really, into the local agreements. Oftentimes, they have periodic reviews with the developer where they have to update the council and the community on their progress and what they've spent money and how much they've spent. And statutorily, you have a lot of flexibility to do that. The state, however, has 3 points at which they require an audit. The point where you hit that minimum capital investment threshold, which is probably going to be $20 million for any project that you want to look at. They require an independent auditor to come in, and actually the developer would have to provide lists of expenditures, proof of payment, copies of invoices. All of that is reviewed by the auditor, and they certify that $20 million was spent. They also certify how much of that was for certain infrastructure costs. So that's the first one. The second one is when you've spent all your public infrastructure costs. So let's say we had $20 million just in infrastructure, $10 million just in infrastructure. Once we hit that threshold, we'll have another audit, and then once the project's complete, there's a third audit. And then going forward every year, information on tax revenues generated in order to calculate the increment, work with the state to identify the state increment that was generated and basically write checks.
And you know, I understand we create a baseline, of those tax receipts, like, when we get started with the program. Do we get to choose when we activate the program, when it starts?
Yeah, to some extent, there, at the state level, you basically have 4 years from final approval to activate it. So you would have to have a plan and implement it within 4 years, and if you finish the build out, or hit that $20 million threshold in 2 years, you could activate it then. If you wanted to wait for another piece of the project to come online, so that you're really generating a lot of revenue in the early years, you could wait. We find most projects, it benefits most projects to activate as early as possible because of the time.
Well, that's also kind of predetermined with your arrangements with your developer as well.
Right, so you may give the developer the option to activate, you know, when they so choose. And developers you have, you know, just say we're gonna activate, right, when you hit 20 million, and everybody got those are rules and done with that.
This can be done, I learned earlier today, is you don't have to necessarily have a district. You can do this, project by project.
Yeah, so-
Basis. Isn't that what Lexington?
Well, yeah, so, you know, you have to have what's statutorily referred to as a development area, which is really just the boundary. You can have more than one development area.
Right.
So you really just have to have something that identifies the project. You can do more than one project. You could have a downtown project and an interstate project, depending on qualifications, we have different needs. So like Owensboro has one in their downtown. Really what's the concrete about their riverfront, provide some more parking in there. They have a serious parking shortage, and that was something their ability to host certain conferences. They also needed more hotel rooms downtown. That was kind of their issue downtown. Their initiative on Highway 54 was more storm and sanitary sewer related. So they were under EPA consent decree and had a serious issue with sanitary and stormwater overflows combined in their community. So the majority of their infrastructure work was actually to upgrade their regional water authority so they can treat wastewater and not overflow into the stormwater. So you just kind of identify the different projects. You can have more than one in the community. You can have, technically, you can have more than one state project within the same local development area. So you have a lot of flexibility, and that's really why we recommend starting what we call feasibility analysis, where we just really want to understand what everybody wants and desires are in the community, and we kind of help you lay out some different options, weigh your risks, rewards, and likelihood of success.
So Casey, if you laid out the development area, and you didn't have a specific project at the time, I mean, would you do the analysis that said we need these uses in this area, or we think this would be feasible, and then the public side, these are the improvements that we need to do in that area, so would you then take proposals from developers to see if they'd be interested in that, or do you?
Yeah, that's certainly one way to go about it, and, if you don't have a developer kind of in mind on the front end, but you maybe have some people interested, or you have an initiative that you want to see as a community. What we found is setting up the development area and basically creating that local incentive brings a lot of people, their ears perk out. It shows that you're really interested in trying to get some projects done in an area, and that you're willing to kind of work with them. So we wouldn't recommend going to the state at that point. You can set up a local development area and kind of create the setup for to attract some
To
developers.
attract them, and then once you have a deal together, that's when you try to then put the district in place and go to the state to get their incentive.
That's correct. Then you kind of go hand in hand with the developer and say, look, we've got a real project, and we put this district together, we want state help on it, and if we bring all these pieces together, this is what the project looks like. And you have, it's a lot more real in the state, they have something they can kind of wrap their arms around and understand a little better, determine how willing they are to
So it's a way that the city then could control that expenditure of the public money until there really was a deal on the table.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you're in control the whole time. It has to be, city has to be the applicant to the state or another nonprofit, another couple of different options. Oftentimes, it's the finance department is technically the applicant, and then they kind of oversee the funds and make sure that, they're being spent and allocated according to whatever agreements are. But it is a nice, attraction, to go ahead and set up the district if you do have a general plan in mind and maybe not a developer. It's almost like an RFQ, an RFI without, a formal RFI. You kind of say, this is our plan, this is what we want to see done. This is, a tool that we created, try to do something that we created. And developers see that as a sign that there's opportunity here.
The projects that you all have worked on across the state, are they typically a mix, or they seem to be more retail because they can get the state sales tax reimbursement? Is there any one project that is more attractive? Is that right?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I mean, I would say it depends. The mixed use qualification of itself has a qualification for more use, so it wouldn't just be retail. We'll say the state defines 5 different uses. Retail and restaurant are different uses. A lot of developers will make them as commercial. Retail and restaurant defines different uses. We also have residential, hospitality, retail, and office. So all 5 of those kinds of uses. We don't see many projects that really don't have at least 3. So you can always retail and restaurant. And it's just a matter of, the hotel that goes with it, is there some sort of office, really good or residential. It's kind of depends on
And you mentioned the property tax and the occupational tax. What you can use to pay. If this community has other local taxes, can it choose to get those as an incentive for things?
Yeah, so you can, it just kind of depends on the tax and what it's already been promised for. Some taxes are restricted by statute, as there for local ordinance. Some of the tourism taxes are usually dedicated to tourism initiatives, transit tax, often dedicated to tourism initiatives. So, to the extent that you're able to allocate that,
That's what I mean, if it was, I mean, because you mentioned some hotels earlier, so if it was a hotel project, I mean, would the local tourism organization have to be involved in that aspect in the agreement with the developers then?
only if you were going to use their transit tax. The only extent to which any other taxing district providing really needs to be involved is if you're going to take their money. So they have to sign off on that, it's kind of officially, city or county can't act and take somebody else's tax on it.
In a situation where there's a revenue bond that has a designated source, I don't think you can touch that.
Yeah, so it may be better to use, so the restaurant taxes are.
Yeah.
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 Obviously, you can't.
So in reality, you're looking at the occupational taxes and property taxes.
Yes.
Sales.
Sales tax is.
The state, sales.
Although, it would, I don't know, want to anyway. On the restaurant tax, we need, bond payment, but that excess over that, is that in play or is that not in play because it's still part of the revenue bond?
I have to look at the bond, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, it's just, so is it in amount of that or is it the entire?
has to come up to.
Yeah.
Has to come up through.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't say.
Okay.
That's often how those taxes are set up. So
Yeah.
they can't be restricted.
Right.
You may be able to create it. You don't have what you have. There are other tourism like policy, like schools or that qualification. Probably.
Right.
So the ones that you do have, do you see most of them at 100% reimbursement, or they, it depends on the
It
project?
depends on the project and how, what the need is versus, and what we think it can generate. Or some communities, 50 or 60% range. They'll also carry other incentives with it, kind of make up for that. R&D, there's a whole other way.
What's the
way
way?
some taxes get, this is something mechanism that also allows communities to participate in school tax. So a lot of, Northern Kentucky has gotten very comfortable with that, they will bear an R&D of like 50% debt participation, and it's not kind of a threshold. Yeah, I would say most communities stay at 80%, so the state's only able to participate 80% of their increment. A lot of communities would just say, we'll do 80% as well, and that gives us a little bit of time.
Yeah, because you've got, realistically, you've got police and fire protection along the way for these projects.
Yeah, I mean, so if you really had a huge development that was coming, dedicated 100% to the community, you know, easy.
Yeah, right.
But if it really doesn't extend the service area or increase the load for police or fire, kind of fun.
Tell the chiefs, it always increases. Right? Right? Yeah.
How do you define occupation, how do you define new revenue? Like, for example, if you have an area that somebody says, hey, we're gonna relocate Target to this area, they have 150 employees currently, they relocate to this other area, 100 employees, is that 100 new positions?
So some communities have put stipulations in their documents that say any employee that moves within the city of there, wages don't count towards that increment calculation. So if your goal is really that, you can structure the documents. That's an issue. I'll also say there's a restriction on this state mixed use program that one retail company within a district cannot be over 20,000 square feet. So the idea is they're not here to incentivize the Walmart, so they're targeting. So
You could also do a baseline too, couldn't you? Just say, give, as example, you're generating $5,000 in taxes and from the occupational tax. That's the threshold. Getting over that 5,000, you could, like, could be created new.
that's better.
Versus,
Yeah, that's
yeah, for that one individual. Why Commonwealth economics? Why you guys? Why you guys?
well, our founding partner was the law, and we were Secretary of Finance. And really, the only fiscal advisory firm engaged on this about every good project in the city. I would say with the exception of the University of Louisville, we turned them down because they were getting a little aggressive with their interpretation. They thought they could want it. But we advised the city.
How'd that work? That didn't work well, did it?
They got a lot of heat from the private sector there too.
Yeah.
A lot of them, developers are not very happy. But we do advise the city of Louisville on everything here. We work on all of their projects. I'd say 60% of our clients are cities, maybe more than that. Cities or communities, and the rest are private developers.
Did you all, listed, it's my understanding, you all helped Bowling Green with their stadium, it was a mess, or
Yeah,
it wasn't correctly done, and you all.
That's correct. We,
Okay.
John Ferris, our founding partner, helped them in 2007, and then they decided that we were helping more. It went a little haywire. We actually reached the compliance and on over 10 different projects now. So we actually help developers and cities and counties track the expenditures, make sure they're reporting to the state on time, and getting all the money, help pay their other sources. So Boeing rehire us in 2013 and 14, I believe, becoming involved.
So we pay you now, or we'll pay you later? Really? It's okay to say that.
Assessment fees, oh, that's not.
Yeah, so our fees, we typically look at it as being a part of the public infrastructure costs. Soft costs are part of that, architecture and engineers, fees related to the infrastructure. Oftentimes, if there's a private developer involved in this kind of initiative, they may agree to split up fees with the community or to cover our fees and maybe reimburse later or vice versa. Just kind of again, that's another way to kind of allocate that risk so that everybody's
With risk on the other.
yeah, if they're the one that has to do the project and they're saying they can get it done, a lot of the time.
Your deals across the state, some tips, there have been some tips that have been successful, others that have not done so well in their promises of what they would deliver.
Yeah.
Give us an example of some of those that may have had to been stopped or reasons behind some of those.
Yeah, I'll say, the Young Center was kind of its own thing, and that's almost not even what we're talking about. But, yeah, so I would say that's kind of an outlier. I would say most of the time what happens is it doesn't come to fruition. If you've allocated the risks properly, the project just doesn't get built. We had a project in Lexington called the Distillery District, which had a TIF award with the state, and the master developer of that project kind of got belly up in recession, and it just kind of fizzled out, and the worst thing that happened was he was out his time and effort, and the city was out there really just time. He was out time, effort, and money, and the city was out time and effort, and eventually it just dissolved the TIF district. The irony now is that area is getting a little more involved, and the infrastructure is lacking. So it's kind of like now we have some traffic issues and sidewalks and pedestrian safety. A major issue because the ones that we've been involved in, we try to allocate those so that everybody really understands what they're doing. Can't think of one where it's really crushed the community financially. Bowling Green is probably the Young Center was in worse shape. This Bowling Green was in their partner. You know, they didn't really have very much.
Oversight and transparency is probably critical.
And that's why Bowling Green is a good sales pitch for us. It really is showing on communities that helps to keep somebody involved, that incentivized to keep track of it.
So when a smaller TIP project that the state's not participating in, do you still have the oversight and have the audits?
Yeah, well,
That's
when
a
you
requirement by the state, even if the state's not involved?
the audits aren't required, the audits are required by the state in their agreement. But what most local participation agreements have in them is a requirement for periodic reporting, and you can request proof of expenditures, just like the state does. We always set them up so that you have that ability.
And the funds aren't coming, right? The TIP money doesn't go into the general fund, it's a separate fund.
It actually, they all flow like they do normally, and then the different taxing districts calculate the increment and write a check into a special TIP fund. And that's held by the Department of Finance, and then the monies that are promised to different developers, then flow back out of that. So it's usually all overseen by the Department of Finance at the city.
Again, you hold that in a separate account.
It's on the separate account.
outside, and then you got the base.
Yeah, the base flows like normal. You calculate every year, you know, if you got a hotel in the district now, and that wasn't previously, you probably have more occupational tax, particularly if you have an office development. You have more property taxes, that assessed value goes up. The flow is normal, so you calculate, the CPI inflated, what those taxes would have been in today's dollars, and then really just subtract the difference and then send that amount over. And then if you're only anticipating 50%, subtract that difference and then multiply by 50%.
The TIF development area, is that a defined area and there's no spillover?
That's correct. It's a legal, have a legal description and a boundary map that shows that. Everybody knows where it is. You typically try to structure it along parcel lines so that you're not, splitting that and then trying to figure out how much property tax was in this portion. But, you can get around those issues if they come up. But, yeah, it's a very defined area. And if you amend it.
Even if there's improvement and increased activity around that TIF area, that doesn't.
Those dollars don't flow. You can't amend the TIF development area at a later date if you said, well, we've got these developers that really want to do this project. They're really close to the development area. Maybe we don't want to create a whole new TIF district just for this project. We'll amend it into the development area. But again, all of that actually requires going back through the public hearing process and being sure the public's aware of it. And have to go back all the way through those steps. So we don't see a whole lot of those. It's usually just for cleanup if, the layout of a building ends up moving a little bit so that it's, straddling the line. You may clean it up to include it all.
Yeah, because if you just amended it, basically, you're.
It's a recalculated based on.
Redo the base?
Yeah, it depends on what's in the unit. That's usually only
One, if it's 5 years into it, then you've only got 15-year window.
Yeah.
Instead of 20.
All of them. Yeah.
We wouldn't want to do that.
If you have a developer.
Outside, we wouldn't want to do that.
Well, yeah, but if the developer says we need incrementally bring this project here anyway, I mean, you just kind of look at them all as separate cases.
Yeah, like the cities, we want to keep it short, and we're going to be at 100%. They may say, yeah, but without it, we can't.
Yeah, 100%. So maybe a road, maybe there's a better route for a road that was previously designed to go left and maybe it's a little more right. It's cheaper to build and everybody saves money and, you want that road to be in the district. If you run into a gas line that you didn't know was there, you want to go around there, there's nothing.
Can you use the money for any public improvement then? So if you did
It's a really broad definition.
if you did a housing project and you wanted to have a public park associated with it, I mean, could you do park improvements then associated with the housing project?
Yes, you could. Public spaces is one of the categories. I don't have the list in there, but it's a very broad list. Site prep, public spaces and parks, public buildings, public amenities like fountains, benches, a walking trail, sidewalk, streetscape, facility improvements, connections, parking, community center, and operating. Pretty broad definition, but anything, has to be laid out in the agreement and approved by the council.
Thank you.
Great job, Casey. I appreciate you coming down.
Thank you all, and certainly here, if you have follow-up questions, let us know.
Okay, that brings us to, council remarks, and I think, Terry, you got something you want to talk about real quick?
The only thing I really want to say is that for anybody in the room that is not aware of it, E-Town lost a really, community advocate yesterday morning. Lamont Thornback passed away. And, you know, Lamont always loved this city. He would always come downtown and he always had an idea. Sometimes they were out of the box. But, I tell you what, he also had a lot of good ideas that I think probably that the city should have taken him up on several times. You remember the time he had the idea that he was gonna plant trees all up and down Ring Road, and he was gonna buy the first 200 trees. And, you know, I think so, you know, he always had a lot of things like that, but, in any event, Lamont loved Lewis Town, and, he did a lot for our community, and I think we owe him a great debt, and, so I think I would just remind everybody to keep maybe and their entire family and your thoughts and prayers this week. I think the service is going to be on Thursday. I believe it's going to be 7:30. I'm not sure what time it's going to be. But in any event, as Marty reminded us, sometimes the sum of the digits.
No, the digits.
The digits.
Are greater than the sum of the digits.
So, interesting guy, Lamont was. I think we'll miss him in a lot of ways. But he had a great life too, 91 years old.
Well,
If I could just mention, the Hardin County Fair is coming up July 8th through the 13th. And we're excited this year. We're going to have, on Monday night, is our second annual farm to table dinner. Commissioner of Agriculture is coming down for that. We are going to hopefully make a nice donation to the Hardin Monroe County Community Health Funding this year to be able to help them out in their mission here in the community. And then Tuesday night, we are excited to welcome Confederate Railroad in concert. And that is courtesy of Swope Family of Dealerships, Down Tourism Convention Bureau, Bright Electric, and the Hardin County Fair. So we are excited for that. That's two big events for us to get it going, including rodeo and truck pulls and tractor pulls and all that. So we're excited. It's the most fun you can have with shoes on.
good, anybody else?
Mayor, we did announce and thank Nolan RECC, the Roundup Grant Program. Newspaper was able to receive a $5,000 grant to help with some Freedom Lake. We're excited about, appreciative of their participation and partnership with us. So just want to make that announcement. Hopefully we'll be able to add some landscaping out there along the new bridges and some stone columns. Those new bridges, thanks to those customers who know we're not ECC.
Very good.
And all this.
All right. Okay. With that, we will be adjourned.